Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a deeply heartbreaking and honestly sobering incident that has sparked absolute outrage across the nation, the tragic case of Ibrahim Mbaya. We're going to objectively look at the facts directly from police investigations, verified news reports, and the Plateau State Police Command. We need to understand how a simple accusation over a missing mobile phone spiraled into a fatal, horrific act of mob violence. We'll unpack the timeline, the ongoing investigation, and the really big societal questions this whole thing raises about the rule of law. But before we get into the tough details of this case, I think it's absolutely crucial to start right here, with Ibrahim's own words. Just 2 days before his tragic death, he posted a photo of himself on Instagram with this caption: "A little sunshine, a little silence, a lot of peace." You know, the sheer contrast between the peace he was writing about and the violent, chaotic way his life was taken, it's just staggering. It's really resonated deeply with his friends and followers online, and it anchors us to the real human life at the center of this tragedy.
So here's our agenda for today. 1. Who was Ibrahim Mbaya? 2. The events of July 26th. 3. The police investigation. And 4. The dangers of jungle justice.
Section 1. Who was Ibrahim Mbaya? A life cut short. Ibrahim Mbaya, or Ibee as he was popularly known to his friends and online followers, was just 25 years old. He was a political science student over at the University of Jos, or Uni-Jos, but his ambitions went way beyond just the classroom. Ibee was a real go-getter, an entrepreneur who introduced himself in interviews as both a baker and a chef. On top of all that, he was an aspiring model actively chasing a career in fashion. Literally just days before his death, he had proudly made it as a top 30 finalist for the Mr and Miss Glam Nigeria pageant, which is this great youth-focused competition celebrating culture and leadership. He had just finished up a runway task for them. He was a young, vibrant creative with his whole life ahead of him.
Section 2. The events of July 26. The fatal confrontation. Okay, let's walk through exactly how this fateful night unfolded, based on what Rinji, the owner of the apartment, recounted to the police. So earlier in the evening, Ibrahim and Rinji returned together from an event. According to Rinji, late that night, Ibrahim steps outside saying he needs to answer a phone call, but he doesn't come back in. Fast forward to 4 a.m. Rinji wakes up and realizes his iPhone 12, along with his brother's charging power bank, are missing. When dawn rolls around, Rinji finally manages to reach Ibrahim by calling his number from someone else's phone. Allegedly, Ibrahim answered briefly before just cutting the call. And guys, it was this missing iPhone 12 and this disconnected call that sparked an accusation that would spiral completely out of control.
Now, what should have happened next is a call to the police, right? But that's not what happened here. Instead of reporting the suspected theft to the authorities, Rinji tells his cousin, and they decide to take the law into their own hands. They invite Ibrahim back to the apartment and start questioning him. When their searches turned up nothing, the situation escalated into a horrifying physical assault. Ibrahim was tied up with a rope and brutally beaten by these supposed friends using planks and canes. This torturous event was actually captured on a video, which later went viral and sparked massive nationwide outrage. Eventually, some youths rushed his unconscious body to the Jos University Teaching Hospital, but it was just too late. Ibrahim was tragically confirmed dead on arrival.
Section 3. The police investigation. Seeking justice. When the police stepped in, the confessions they got were honestly just chilling. It clearly breaks down the structure of this mob. Rinji, the phone owner, kicked the whole thing off by reporting the missing items to his cousin. That cousin, Emmanuel Newyear, admitted to slapping Ibrahim, dragging him outside, and literally striking him with a wooden plank. Another suspect, Teslor Joshua, admitted his specific role was restraining Ibrahim, actively holding his hands down while the others tied him up with a rope. Just listen to this direct quote Emmanuel Newyear gave to the press. "I beat him because I want him to tell me where the phone is." Think about that for a second. There's no mention of due process, no mention of calling the police. It's just a calculated, brutal attempt to extract a confession through pure torture. It gives us a terrifying window into the mindset of a mob, acting as judge, jury, and executioner. Right now, following their arrests and those confessions, the Plateau State Police Command confirmed that these suspects have been officially transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department, or SCID. This investigation is still very much active. Law enforcement is actively tracking down any other individuals connected to the incident, especially anyone seen participating in that viral video of the mob violence, to ensure everyone involved faces justice through proper legal channels. Section 4. The dangers of jungle justice. A societal plague.
We really need to call jungle justice exactly what it is. Because let's be real, it's not justice at all. It's this illegal and incredibly often fatal practice where a mob completely bypasses law enforcement. They take the law into their own hands to assault or execute an accused person. It represents a total breakdown of the rule of law, completely stripping individuals of their fundamental constitutional right to a fair legal trial. And the most heartbreaking part, Ibrahim's case isn't just an isolated incident. It's part of a pervasive, deadly societal plague. On one hand, you have Ibrahim, a 25-year-old student beaten to death over an unproven accusation of a stolen iPhone. And on the other, we can look at the recent case of Kulaha Ayuba. Kulaha was a 24-year-old commercial motorcycle rider in Lagos who was beaten to death and his motorcycle stolen simply because frightened youths falsely mistook him for an armed bandit, all based on a totally unverified viral social media rumor. In both of these cases, innocent or unproven lives were just snuffed out in moments by mobs acting on fear, anger, and zero legal authority. As you'd expect, the public reaction to Ibrahim's death has been intense. The National Association of Nigerian Students strongly condemned the killing, calling it heartbreaking and demanding a thorough investigation. On platforms like X and Facebook, the timelines were just flooded with outrage. One user, Sozo Trades, really hit the nail on the head, capturing the collective grief by asking, "Why all this killing for phone? Is the phone worth more than a life?" Another user pointed out the glaring hypocrisy of a society that constantly complains about police brutality, only to turn around and become worse than the oppressors they claim to hate by lynching their own peers. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to really reflect on. If mere accusations, missing phones, or viral rumors can instantly replace the rule of law, how can a society ever guarantee the safety of its own citizens? A society that tolerates or ignores mob violence is one where every single person is just one false accusation away from an absolute tragedy. The loss of Ibrahim Mbaya is a stark, devastating reminder that true justice only exists when it's administered by the law, never by the mob. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.